All right, on the path home. Whew. Let's see how long it takes me to get home. I started the recording at the bus stop. Here's that funky trail that I gotta navigate through. Sucks like hell. Whew, look at all that traffic. Okay. Oh yeah, people are voting tonight big time, boy. Man, I can't wait to see what's happening. It's like you can't wait till you get home to watch that Netflix you just got in the mail, or you just picked up a Redbox movie, and you're like, you can't wait to get home to see it. It's like, oh yeah, that's the movie I've been waiting for. Well, that's how I am about the election. I am wanting to see who's in the lead right now. And, don't know what time it stops. For all I know, it's probably over by now. I mean, it's probably Hawaii left, but, there's only a certain state that people are worried about. Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, I think. There's certain states that the candidates concentrate on. Texas is not one of them. And if you win those states, you're good to go. So it'll be interesting to find out exactly where these votes are. But what will hurt some of the votes is, even though they tried as best they could, the victims, the people who were affected by the New York, New Jersey, or Hurricane Sandy, say it like that, are the ones that are going to not be able to vote as easily as we were able to vote in other states that weren't affected by Hurricane Sandy. And so it's harder to try to vote when you're worried about where you're going to get your next meal. When you're worried about getting your next meal, where you're going to sleep that night, how to stay warm, because it is getting colder. Even here in Texas, it's getting colder. But imagine, places like New York and New Jersey, it's November already. It's going to get cold, it's going to be freezing. And all your clothes and everything you own is washed away. And if it's not that, your power's out. So you're going to have to stand in line for several hours trying to vote for a man to run this country while your family is going to freeze at night because the electricity is not back on. And the power company is doing everything they possibly can. You can't blame them. You can't fault them. They're working as fast as they can. They only have a certain amount of people working on that, and I'm sure they got volunteers from other power companies in the region to come in and work as fast as they can to get the power back on. But it's what it is. It sucks, Now, fortunately, this wasn't as bad as Hurricane Sandy. But 2 years ago, was it? Yeah, 2 years ago, my wife and I went through the blizzard in Chicago. We were staying with my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, and we were at work when it started. And we were looking out the window like, oh my freaking God, we got to go home. And we drove. The snow was coming down so hard, and the wind. We drove 25 miles per hour all the way down Halsted. If you're from Chicago, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Halsted. 25 miles from the north side of Chicago all the way down to the south side. I'm not going to begin to remember what part of north side, but there's an Apple store and there's a Whole Foods there. It's the largest Whole Foods in the world. Now, I wasn't working at Whole Foods, but I worked in a building very close to Whole Foods. And it's huge. It's on Kingsbury. So anybody knows where that's at, you know where I'm talking about. There's an Apple store on Halsted, and I don't remember the cross street. But there's an Apple store there, and there's a Metro Rail station, Metro Red Line, that's right next to the Apple store. And if you go into the Metro Rail station, there's Apple advertisements in the subway. Now, for people in Chicago, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We drove from that area all the way down to the south side of Chicago. Now, let me try to describe this area. 82nd in Dorchester. That's where we drove down to. So we drove down to 82nd Street. That's a long ways. It took us a couple of hours because we were driving in snow that was coming down by the gallons per second. And made it, you know, basically. And one thing that was very freaky about that storm, it was lightning and thunder during a blizzard. And that was freaky. I didn't know that you can have lightning during a snowstorm like that. So that was pretty freaky in itself. So we were driving down, we finally made it home, and the lightning struck just as we were driving up on our driveway, and all of a sudden we saw this bright red flash. Boom! It was loud as hell. Something exploded, and the lights went out. We were out of power for a day. 24 hours. I mean, hey, it was freezing cold that night, okay? But at least it was just 24 hours. And at least my mother-in-law, she had a gas stove that she was able to turn on to keep us warm inside the house. She cranked that up at full blast, and it kept the place warm. So that was good. You know, that's a good thing, right? These guys are going to be out of power for several days, several weeks, possibly. And how in the hell are you going to vote when you're worried about how your family's going to eat, drink, sleep in a decent temperature? That's the sad thing. For those whose houses were not destroyed, and for those whose homes were destroyed, what the hell? The last thing you're going to think about is trying to vote for Mint or Brock or anybody else for that matter. Hell, you're not even thinking about voting for Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck as president. You don't want to think about anything like that. All you're thinking about is how I'm going to get my family safe and fed. So it's taking me 9 minutes to walk. Hey, dog. Hey, dog. So, you know, that's all it takes to get home, about 9 minutes. There we go, from the bus there. And I was kind of walking slow, so it probably won't take, on a good walking day, 7 minutes. But I'm home now, so I'm just going to go ahead and check out. I may blog the results of the election. I may or may not do that. We'll see. Peace out.